I'm Dave Micklos, Executive Director of the DNA Learning Center at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. I'm here with the 3D twin of the Otzi replica that's being presented at the South Tyrol Museum. Here at Cold Spring Harbor, Otzi is part of an exhibit on human evolution, including ancient ancestors going back 5 million years. Let me tell you why we're excited to be working on this project. As our name implies, the DNA Learning Center is interested in everything about DNA. But especially we try to do experiments that allow students to analyze their own DNA in the context of human evolution. As soon as the first bit of Otzi sequence was published, we began to integrate it into experiments we do with students. Let me show you how it works. In this experiment, we'll compare a student's DNA with DNA from Otzi and from this fellow here, Neanderthal. This ancient human ancestor lived in Europe beginning about 200,000 years ago and becoming extinct 25,000 years ago. I'm using data from a class of students from San Francisco, California. Last week, they extracted DNA from their cheek cells and sent it off to sequence a bit of DNA that each person inherits from their mother. Here is the DNA sequence of one student. Each peak is one letter of the DNA alphabet, and the entire sequence is about 400 letters long. First, we compare this student with another from the class by lining up their two sequences. Then we can count the number of differences or mutations. Only 6. The fewer the mutations, the more closely related any two living things are. And the greater the mutations, the more distantly related they are. Now let's compare the student's DNA to Neanderthal. That's a lot of mutations, 26. What do you expect to see when we compare the student to Otzi? Only 2. In fact, if you do this experiment in Europe or Western Asia, there will be plenty of people with the identical sequence as Otzi. This tells us that Otzi is a fully modern person and that 5,300 years, or the age of Otzi, is no time in DNA time. Otzi's DNA also tells us that he was descended from early farmers who brought agriculture to Europe. Otzi's ancestors migrated out of the Fertile Crescent, what is now Syria and southeastern Turkey, where wheat and barley were domesticated about 10,000 years ago. Otzi also had genetic markers for heart disease, and he had evidence of fat buildup in his arteries. So although he ate a healthy diet of unprocessed foods, he still had a disease that we associate with modern diets. So you can see why I'm excited to work with the South Tyrol Museum to help people understand what DNA says about the life and times of Otzi the Iceman.